You clicked on this video because you saw the title and your logical mind immediately said, "This is impossible. This is a scam." You have been told your entire life that money requires your blood, sweat, and tears. And even when you found the law of assumption, you just traded physical exhaustion for mental exhaustion. You started forcing yourself to script 50 times a day. You turned manifestation into an exhausting, stressful, full-time job. But what if I told you that the great mystic Neville Goddard taught a completely different way? I am going to teach you how to manifest massive amounts of money by doing absolutely nothing. And I do not mean that as a metaphor. I mean it literally. Today we are going to dismantle the illusion of effort, and I will show you why the hardest thing your mind will ever do is to finally drop the oars, stop trying, and let the wealth come to you. I want you to listen to me very carefully right now, because in this exact minute, I am going to give you the exact reason why the money is running away from you. This is the truth that the hustle culture and the mainstream spiritual gurus are terrified to tell you. The reason you do not have the wealth you desire is because of your effort. Your effort is the ultimate, undeniable proof of your lack. Read that again in your mind. The sheer amount of effort you're putting into trying to be rich is the exact signal that is telling your subconscious mind that you are currently poor. When you try, when you force, when you strain to manifest money, you are screaming to the universe that you do not have it. You cannot desperately try to get something that you already own. Effort and possession cannot exist in the same space. And because the universe only ever reflects your current state of being, your intense effort to become wealthy is manifesting nothing but more situations that require intense effort. You are caught in a hamster wheel of trying, and today we are going to break the wheel. Today I am going to teach you the most controversial, misunderstood, and powerful method ever derived from the teachings of Neville Goddard. I'm going to teach you how to manifest massive amounts of wealth by doing absolutely nothing, and I mean nothing. No mental strain, no forcing your emotions, no begging the universe. But I must warn you before we go any further, this concept of doing nothing is going to be the hardest thing your mind has ever attempted. Your brain is addicted to the struggle. It is addicted to the feeling of earning your survival. When I show you how to truly drop the oars and let the river of wealth carry you, your ego is going to scream. It is going to tell you that this is laziness, that this is dangerous, and that you will lose everything. But if you stay with me, if you allow me to dismantle the 3 foundational lies you have been taught about money and action, you will step into a reality where money begins to chase you. You will step into a reality where wealth flows to you while you are sleeping, while you are resting, and while you are doing absolutely nothing. To understand the profound power of doing nothing, we first have to deconstruct the magnificent illusion of the hustle. We have to look at the lie that has been programmed into your nervous system since the day you were born. You were born into a 3-dimensional world that operates on Newtonian physics. In this physical world, if you want a heavy rock to move from the bottom of the hill to the top of the hill, you have to apply physical force. You have to push it. You have to sweat. The harder you push, the faster the rock moves. You took this exact physical law and you internalized it as a moral philosophy. You went to school and you were given a grade for your effort. You were told that if you study hard, you get an A. You entered the workforce, and you were told that if you put in overtime, if you stay late and ruin your weekends, you will get the promotion. We have been deeply, biologically conditioned to believe that movement equals progress and that pain equals reward. This conditioning is so deep that it has infected our self-worth. We feel a profound sense of guilt when things are easy. Have you ever noticed that? If you make $1,000 in 10 minutes doing something you love, a quiet voice in the back of your mind whispers that it is not fair, that it is somehow dirty, or that it will be taken away from you because you did not suffer enough to earn it. We wear our exhaustion like a badge of honor. We brag to our friends about how little sleep we got, how stressed we are, and how busy our schedules look, because in our sick modern culture, being stressed is the only way to prove that you are a valuable human being. And then, you discovered the law of assumption. You learned that your imagination creates your reality. You learned that you are the operant power, the architect of your own destiny. This should have been the moment of your absolute liberation. This should have been the moment you finally relaxed. But instead of throwing away the blueprint of the hustle, you just brought the hustle into your spiritual life. You brought Newtonian physics into the quantum field where they do not belong. You started treating your subconscious mind like a stubborn boulder that needs to be pushed up a hill. You began to attack your desires with brute mental force. You wake up in the morning and you immediately start affirming, "I'm a millionaire, I am a millionaire, I am a millionaire," but you are saying it through gritted teeth. Your chest is tight, your shoulders are tense. You are treating the affirmation like a hammer, trying to smash the glass of your current reality. You try to visualize your dream home, but you are not enjoying the visualization. You are stressing over it. You are wondering if you are seeing it from the first-person point of view. You are wondering if the feeling is strong enough. You are wondering if you are doing it for the right amount of time. You have turned the divine act of creation into a stressful, anxiety-inducing administrative task. You have made God your middle manager, and you are terrified of getting fired. This is the great delusion of spiritual hustle. You think that because you are not moving your physical body, you are not working hard. But mental friction is infinitely more exhausting than physical friction. And more importantly, mental friction is the exact mechanism that repels your manifestation. Neville Goddard was incredibly clear about this, but human beings love to complicate the simple truth. Neville said, "Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled." He did not say, "Force the feeling." He did not say, "Wrestle with the feeling until it submits to you." He used the word assume. When you assume a posture, you simply settle into it. When you assume a role, you just step into it. Assumption is a quiet, effortless surrender to a new truth. When you try to force a manifestation, you are generating friction. Imagine rubbing your hands together as fast and as hard as you can. What happens? They get hot. They get irritated. The friction creates resistance. Now imagine trying to slide a heavy wooden block across a floor covered in sandpaper. The more you push, the more the sandpaper grips the wood. The harder you try, the harder it gets. This is exactly what is happening in your mind when you desperately try to manifest money. Your desire for the money is the wooden block. Your desperation, your neediness, and your intense effort are the sandpaper. You are trying to drag your wealth across a floor of deep psychological resistance. The universe does not respond to your effort. The universe is entirely indifferent to how many hours you spent visualizing, or how many pages of your journal you filled with affirmations. The universe does not have a punch card. It does not look at your spiritual timesheet and say, "Wow, this person really suffered for this desire. Let us give them the money." That is a human concept. The universe operates on a strictly mathematical law of resonance. It only matches your state of being. If your state of being is one of trying, the universe will mirror back to you the experience of trying. You will constantly find yourself almost getting the money. The deal will almost close. The client will almost sign. The lottery ticket will be one number off. You will live in a perpetual state of almost because your internal state is one of reaching, and reaching implies that the object is always just outside your grasp. This brings us to the core secret of the wealthy. The real secret that separates the billionaire from the person working 3 jobs just to survive. The wealthy person does not try to be wealthy. The wealthy person just is. Think about breathing. Unless you have a medical condition, you do not try to breathe. You do not wake up in the morning, look at the ceiling and aggressively affirm, "I am a breather. I attract oxygen. Oxygen flows to me effortlessly. I must visualize my lungs filling with air." If you did that, people would think you were insane. Why don't you do that? Because the oxygen is already there. You have a deeply embedded, unquestioned assumption that the air will be there when you expand your lungs. Because you have no doubt, you exert no effort. You breathe by doing absolutely nothing but existing. The action happens through you, not by you. This is the exact relationship you must cultivate with money. You must transition from trying to acquire wealth to simply exhaling and allowing wealth to exist around you. When Neville spoke of the Sabbath, he was not talking about a day of the week. He was talking about this exact psychological state. The Sabbath is the end of effort. It is the moment you put down the tools of manifestation because you realize the house is already built. It is the profound, quiet realization that you do not need to lift another mental finger to make the money appear, because the reality of the money is already finished in the quantum field. But how do you actually reach this state of doing nothing? How do you command your anxious, survival-driven brain to drop the oars and let the river take over? Because right now, the idea of doing nothing probably terrifies you. Your mind is telling you that if you do not worry about your bills, if you do not stress over your income, and if you do not aggressively force your positive thoughts, everything will collapse. Your mind believes that your anxiety is the only thing keeping you alive. To break this spell, we have to look at the physics of the human mind. We have to look at a law that is so powerful, it overrides everything you have ever been taught about willpower. We have to introduce you to the law of reversed effort, and once you understand how this law is operating in your life right now, you will never try to manifest anything ever again. You will simply sit back, do absolutely nothing, and watch the world rearrange itself at your feet. When we talk about manifesting money by doing absolutely nothing, your logical mind immediately paints a picture of complete failure. Your anxiety spikes. You imagine yourself lying on your couch, staring at the ceiling, sinking into a deep depression while your bills pile up on the kitchen counter. You imagine the world moving forward while you are left behind, paralyzed by laziness, waiting for a magical bag of cash to fall through your roof. This is the ultimate misunderstanding of the teachings of Neville Goddard. This is the ego defending its addiction to stress. I need you to completely erase that image from your mind right now. When the great mystics speak of doing nothing, they are not talking about physical laziness. They are not talking about apathy or giving up on life or avoiding your responsibilities. They are talking about something infinitely more powerful and infinitely more difficult to achieve for the modern human being. They are talking about absolute internal stillness. They are talking about the complete absence of internal resistance. Doing nothing means that you stop trying to conquer the universe and you finally allow the universe to serve you. It means yielding. Yielding is a word we rarely use today, but it holds the secret to everything you have ever wanted. Yielding does not mean surrendering to defeat. It means surrendering to the flow. Imagine for a moment that you have fallen into a massive, fast-moving river. The current is incredibly strong, and it is moving rapidly toward a beautiful, calm ocean. That ocean represents your wealth, your absolute financial freedom, and your ideal life. What is your first instinct when you fall into that rushing water? If you are like 99% of humanity, your first instinct is pure panic. You start thrashing. You start kicking. You try to swim against the current, desperately grabbing at rocks and branches, trying to pull yourself to the shore. You exert massive amounts of physical and emotional energy. You are fighting the water. You are trying to control the river. And what happens? You become exhausted, you swallow water, you scrape your knees against the hidden rocks. You feel like you are drowning, and you cry out to the universe, asking why life is so hard, why the river is so cruel, and why you are struggling so much just to survive. But what if you did absolutely nothing? What if you stopped kicking? What if you let go of the branch, rolled onto your back, closed your eyes, and just floated? In the exact moment you stop fighting, the river stops being your enemy and becomes your vehicle. The water supports your weight. The current, which used to terrify you, is now doing all the work for you. It carries you effortlessly, smoothly, and inevitably right into the beautiful ocean. You did not have to swim a single stroke. You did not have to fight. You arrived at your perfect destination by doing absolutely nothing but yielding to the flow. The universe is that river. The quantum field is a continuous flow of abundance. The wealth you desire is already pulling you toward it. The only reason you are not experiencing it right now is because you are thrashing in the water. You are trying to manifest by swimming against the current. Your desperate affirmations, your anxious visualizations, your constant checking of your bank account, your obsession with whether or not your techniques are working, all of this is you kicking and splashing in a panic. You are exhausting yourself, trying to force the river to do what the river is already trying to do. You are creating the very resistance that is keeping you broke. When Neville Goddard said, "Be still and know that I am God," he was giving you the ultimate manifestation technique. He was telling you to float. He was telling you that the God within you does not need your frantic human effort to move the mountains. The God within you simply requires your stillness. But why is floating so hard? Why does doing nothing feel like an impossible task when we are stressed about money? This brings us to a psychological phenomenon that governs every single aspect of your life. It is a concept observed by the great psychologists and fully integrated into the teachings of the law of assumption. It is called the law of reversed effort. Listen to this principle, engrave it into your mind, and you will finally understand why your hardest efforts have always resulted in your biggest failures. The law of reversed effort states that whenever your willpower and your imagination are in conflict, your imagination will win every single time without exception. Furthermore, The harder you try to use your willpower to overcome your imagination, the more you actually empower the imagination you are trying to defeat. Let us break this down, because it is the master key to your financial reality. Think about a night when you could not fall asleep. You get into bed, you look at the clock, and you realize you have an important meeting early in the morning. You tell yourself, I need to go to sleep right now. Your willpower is activated. You close your eyes tight. You try to force your brain to shut down. You command yourself to sleep. But what is your imagination doing in that exact moment? Your imagination is picturing how tired you are going to be tomorrow. Your imagination is visualizing the clock ticking. Your imagination is creating a scene of frustration. You have a conflict. Your willpower says, sleep. Your imagination says, I am awake and stressed. According to the law of reversed effort, the imagination wins, and the harder you try to force yourself to sleep, the more awake, anxious, and alert you become. The sheer effort of trying to sleep is the exact mechanism that causes the insomnia. Money operates on the exact same psychological law. Wealth is just like sleep. You cannot force it. You cannot wrestle it into existence. You can only allow it to happen by removing the effort. Right now you are looking at your financial situation and your willpower is screaming. Your willpower says, I must be rich. I am going to manifest $10,000 this week. I am going to work hard. I am going to affirm all day. I am going to force this reality to change. But what is your imagination doing? Behind the brave face of your willpower, your deep subconscious imagination is feeling the terror of the empty bank account. Your imagination is vividly picturing the unpaid bills. Your imagination is feeling the identity of someone who is lacking. You have created a massive internal conflict. You have a poor imagination fighting a rich willpower. And who wins? The imagination, always, every single time. The universe does not hear your willpower, it only hears your imagination. And here is the true tragedy of the law of reversed effort. The more you use your willpower to scream your affirmations, the more you remind your imagination of why you are screaming. The harder you try to manifest the money, the more you highlight the fact that you do not have it. Your intense effort is feeding the identity of poverty. You are trying to force yourself to sleep, and you are creating financial insomnia. Doing absolutely nothing is not laziness. It is the highest form of spiritual discipline. When you do nothing, you are actively refusing to let your willpower interfere with the finished creation. You are stepping out of God's way. This is why Neville Goddard told his students to drop the effort. He knew that willpower is the enemy of assumption. Willpower implies that the thing is not here, and you must drag it here through sheer mental force. Assumption implies that the thing is already here, and there is absolutely nothing left to do. To manifest massive wealth, you must drop the will to change your reality and simply rest in the image of the reality already being changed. You must stop trying to cross the bridge and just imagine you are already standing on the other side. Think about the profound difference between those two states. Trying to cross the bridge requires effort, steps, planning, and exhaustion. Standing on the other side requires nothing. You are just there. You are breathing. You are looking back at where you used to be. You are doing absolutely nothing but existing in the final destination. When you truly grasp this, your entire approach to the law of assumption will shift. You will stop using your visualization sessions as a battlefield. Most people go into their daily visualizations like soldiers going to war. They close their eyes, tense their muscles, and try to conquer their subconscious mind. They try to capture the feeling of wealth and hold it hostage. But wealth cannot be captured. It can only be welcomed. Instead of fighting your mind, you must learn to gently seduce it. You must approach your imagination not with the aggressive energy of wanting, but with the calm, lazy energy of having. Imagine sitting in a comfortable chair in your living room. You close your eyes, but you do not try to manifest anything. You do not try to force a scene. You simply exhale. You let your shoulders drop. You let the tension leave your jaw. And in that empty, quiet space, you gently assume the feeling that everything is perfectly handled. You do not even need to see stacks of cash. You just need to feel the total absence of financial worry. You feel the profound boredom of knowing that your bank account is full. You rest in the sensation that there are no problems to solve, no bills to figure out, no hustling left to do. You are completely safe. In that moment of absolute stillness, when your willpower is completely turned off and your imagination is resting in the feeling of safety, the magic happens. The new identity clicks into place. The subconscious mind accepts the truth of your wealth because there is no friction telling it otherwise. You are floating on the river. You are doing nothing. And by doing nothing, you have just commanded the entire quantum field to rearrange physical matter to match your state of rest. But as simple as this sounds, I know that sitting in that chair and feeling safe feels almost impossible for some of you. I know that the moment you try to do nothing, a voice in your head screams that you are a failure. A wave of guilt washes over you. You feel like you are doing something illegal by resting while you desire massive wealth. You feel like you do not deserve the money unless you suffer for it first. This is the deepest, darkest block in your manifestation journey. It is the guilt of easy money. And until we drag this guilt into the light and destroy it, your nervous system will never allow you to float. Let us drag this dark, hidden shadow into the light. The reason you cannot simply rest in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, the reason you cannot embrace the profound art of doing absolutely nothing, is because you have been infected with the guilt of easy money. This is a psychological virus that was planted in your mind long before you even knew what money was. Think back to your childhood. Think about the phrases you heard around the dinner table. You heard that money does not grow on trees. You heard that rich people are greedy or corrupt, or that they had to step on others to get to the top. But most importantly, you were taught the doctrine of the noble struggle. You were taught that there is an inherent spiritual purity in suffering for your paycheck. You were conditioned to believe that if you sweat, if you bleed, if you sacrifice your health and your time, then and only then are you morally worthy of receiving compensation. You have linked your basic human worth to your capacity to endure pain. Because of this deep subconscious programming, whenever you try to manifest wealth effortlessly, your ego sounds a massive alarm. Your ego says, "Who do you think you are? You cannot just sit there and be rich. You have not suffered enough today. You have not earned this." The moment you try to float on the river, your guilt tells you that floating is a sin, and that you must immediately go back to drowning to prove that you are a good, hard-working person. You sabotage your own manifestations because you secretly believe that easy money is dirty money. You push the wealth away because receiving it without a struggle violates your core identity of being a noble, hard-working victim. It is time to shatter this illusion forever. I want to give you the ultimate psychological reframe. I want to give you the third massive reward of this masterclass, and it is a complete restructuring of your spiritual identity. You must remember who you actually are. According to the teachings of Neville Goddard, your human imagination is the central figure of the universe. Your imagination is God in human form. You are not a tiny, insignificant speck of dust begging the universe for a favor. You are the operant power. You are royalty. You are the king or the queen of your own reality. Now I want you to think about a true king. Does a king go down into the dark, dangerous coal mines with a pickaxe, swinging it for 16 hours a day, covering his face in soot and sweat, just to prove to his subjects that he is worthy of wearing the crown? Of course not. The king understands that his wealth, his land, and his power do not come from his physical labor. They come from his birthright. They come from his identity. He simply sits on the throne, issues a decree, and the entire kingdom mobilizes to bring his word into physical form. The king does not feel guilty for the gold in his vault. He knows that his mere existence as the king is what organizes the kingdom. You must adopt the mentality of the king. Your right to massive overflowing wealth does not come from your sweat. It does not come from your late nights at the office, and it certainly does not come from your desperate, agonizing visualization sessions. Your right to wealth comes from your divine birthright. It is an inherent property of who you are. The money belongs to you simply because you exist and because you have chosen to assume the state of having it. You do not need to justify your wealth to anyone, least of all to your own ego. When you drop the belief that suffering equals worthiness, the guilt evaporates. And when the guilt evaporates, the resistance is completely destroyed. You can finally sit in that chair, do absolutely nothing, and feel a profound, unapologetic peace as the universe brings you your kingdom. But right now, your analytical mind is screaming. Your logical brain is raising its hand and asking the ultimate question. Tipo, are you seriously telling me to just lie in my bed all day? Are you telling me to quit my job, stare at the wall, and wait for a briefcase of cash to magically materialize in my living room? Don't I have to do something in the physical world? This is the great paradox of the law of assumption, And it brings us to the crucial difference between forced action and inspired action. When I say that you must manifest by doing absolutely nothing, I am talking about your internal state. I am talking about doing nothing to force the universe. I am talking about the complete absence of internal striving, anxious plotting, and desperate manipulation of the 3D world. However, when you achieve this state of profound internal stillness, something miraculous happens to your physical body. The universe begins to move you. When you drop the oars and let the river carry you, you do not turn to stone. You are still in the water, and you are moving incredibly fast. But the movement does not feel like work. It feels like flow. This is inspired action. When your internal state is perfectly aligned with the assumption of wealth, and you are resting in the Sabbath, you will suddenly get impulses. You will get an undeniable sudden urge to go to a specific coffee shop. You will get a random thought to call an old friend. You will feel a sudden burst of creativity to write a specific email or start a specific project. The difference between forced action and inspired action is the emotional fuel behind it. Forced action is driven by fear. It is you waking up and saying, "I have to send 50 emails today or I'm going to go broke." It feels heavy. It feels like pushing a massive boulder up a steep mountain. Every step is agonizing, and the results are usually terrible because the energy you are broadcasting is pure desperation. Inspired action is driven by fulfillment. It is you waking up, feeling completely safe and wealthy in your imagination, and suddenly thinking, "It would be really fun to send this one specific email." It does not feel like a chore. It feels like a game. It feels like sliding down a slide. It is effortless, joyful, and completely natural. And that one single email, written in a state of effortless inspiration, will generate more wealth than the 50 emails you wrote in a state of terror. When you do nothing internally, you allow the God within you to puppet your physical body. You walk across the bridge of incidents without even realizing you are doing it. You find yourself at the right place, at the right time, saying the exact right words to the right person. If you look back at your life, at the best things that have ever happened to you, you will realize that you did not force them. They happened through a series of effortless coincidences. You met the love of your life when you were not looking. You got the amazing opportunity when you were just being yourself. The physical action was required, yes, but it was born out of a state of internal surrender. So, you do not lock yourself in your room. You live your life, you go to work, you wash the dishes, you talk to people, but you do it all from the internal throne of doing absolutely nothing to force the outcome. You watch the movie of your life unfold, knowing you have already written the happy ending. This is the ultimate mastery, to be still and know that you are God. But there is one final towering obstacle standing between you and this effortless reality. It is the reason why you might turn this video off, vow to do nothing, and then within 20 minutes, find yourself pacing the floor, grinding your teeth, and panicking about your bank account. It is the biological addiction to stress. You see, your mind might be ready to become the king, but your nervous system is still a terrified peasant. Your physical body is a biological machine that has been programmed by millions of years of evolution and decades of your own personal financial trauma to associate stillness with death. In the wild, if an animal stops moving, it gets eaten. In our modern society, your nervous system believes that if you stop hustling, if you stop worrying about money, you will starve. Your body is literally addicted to the cortisol and adrenaline that your financial anxiety produces. When you try to sit in the chair and do nothing, when you try to rest in the assumption of wealth, your mind is telling your body to relax. But your body looks around at the physical reality, sees the unpaid bills and screams, "It is not safe to relax. We are under attack." Your heart rate elevates. Your breathing becomes shallow. Your chest tightens. You feel a physical urge to get up and do something, anything, to regain a sense of control. This is not a spiritual failure. This is a biological trauma response. You cannot out-affirm a dysregulated nervous system. You cannot force a terrified body to feel the naturalness of wealth. If your mind is floating on the river, but your nervous system is violently thrashing, the manifestation will block. The high-frequency energy of effortless wealth cannot anchor into a body that is vibrating with the low-frequency terror of survival. If you truly want to manifest money by doing absolutely nothing, you have to face the hard truth. Your nervous system is currently terrified of stillness. Your body thinks that if you do not worry about money, you will starve. You cannot out-affirm this biological panic. If your mind is doing nothing, but your body is vibrating with anxiety, the money will not come. You must manually turn off the survival switch in your brain. You must teach your physical body that it is safe to rest. I have placed a powerful resource in the pinned comment below. It is a specific protocol for nervous system regulation. It is the missing link that will pull your body out of the fight or flight response, allowing you to finally sit back, drop the resistance, and embrace the profound magnetic power of doing absolutely nothing. The hustle is a lie. The effort is keeping you broke. The kingdom is already yours. Just sit on the throne, regulate your body, and let it come.